is Jamie, and this year I was given the opportunity to go to Honduras with a team led by Dr. Tan and mostly a team from Canada. So we went from August 5th to 12th, and initially I was very hesitant about committing and going because I was going with a bunch of people I didn't know, and I was also spending one of my 2 vacation weeks going and spending it with a bunch of people I didn't know. But in the end, I'm very glad I did go. We had a very large team this year. As you saw in the beginning, we had 28 people, consisting of doctors and medical students, some optometrists, dentists, nurses, construction, and a VBS crew. A lot of the students were also non-believers, so in addition to sharing Christ with the people of Honduras, we were also able to share the message of the gospel with some of our team members as well, which was really cool. Next slide, please. So we had 4 days of clinics, and at these clinics we were able to provide medical, dental, and optometry work. We saw about 300 patients per day, and nurses were also able to provide preventative care as well as just some teaching, basic teaching for how to just better care for yourself. So there were a few moments during these clinics that really solidified my faith in Christ and the importance of knowing Christ and the gospel. And one of these stories includes a woman who had a blood pressure that was really, really high. It was 200/109, which for those of you in the medical field know that that's dangerously high. And she was already taking 1 blood pressure medication, and we added 1 more because she wanted to get dental work done that day, but it wasn't safe for her to. And so this is one moment where I realized that while we go into Honduras and do medical work, a lot of that is just very temporary. And even if we give them medications to lower their blood pressure, we only give them enough for 30 days, and then they have to get more. But a lot of the people in Honduras don't have the money to get medication every 30 days. And so this brought about the importance of just planting seeds about the gospel and Christ's love, because that is more important than just giving them the medical work. And with that, and just eventually knowing about this, then they will one day receive the gift of eternal life and have no more suffering in heaven, whereas we'll eventually get through the suffering here on earth. Another lesson that I learned while in Honduras was that if God brings you to it, He will bring you through it. And so Dr. Tan initially asked me to also lead the pharmacy team, which I'm not a pharmacist, and leading the pharmacy team requires someone who is very, very organized and has a lot of patience, and I don't have either of those qualities. And so it was really interesting to see the picture right in the middle is a picture of our pharmacy, and it was just really interesting to see how every day we went out, our clinics were different, but it just happened to be so organized and ran really, really well. And we also, what included in part of this pharmacy lead team was counting all the meds at the end of the day just to see how many meds we had to bring out to clinic every day, and then all that. And so I was blessed with a really nice team who would jump in and count meds with me at the end of every day, even after very long days at the clinic. And we were also, God filled in the gaps with one of our missionaries from BMDMI, Denise, and that was really awesome because we didn't have a pharmacist going with us on our team, and so it was just really nice to have someone who was able to really teach the Honduran people how to take their meds correctly, and so God really filled in there. That picture at the top is just a picture of all the people who came up and lined up to visit our clinics every day. picture on the top left, or right for you guys, is our dental clinic, and then the pharmacy, and then our medical clinic, where we also had the doctors who would sit there and pray with the patients after every visit. And then on the top, or the bottom right, those are pictures. That's a picture of our vitamin B12 injections, which we thankfully had enough for every adult who came to visit us. And that was all by the grace of God. Next slide. So we also had a construction team and VBS people. So the top picture is of, so our construction team actually has no construction experience at all. So they were just a bunch of normal people back from Canada, physical therapists, social workers, etc., who went and learned how to mix concrete and pour concrete so that we could pour concrete in the churches and also some of the pastors' homes. And so, not experienced at all, so if anything, they felt like they were slowing down the work of the Honduran people, but they were able to build a lot of relationships and share the gospel just by spending time doing all this hard work with them. And the other two pictures are of our VBS team, and there was one skit that they performed at every clinic day, and it was, and it seemed to capture the attention of a lot of the Hondurans, and was able to really share the gospel and the love of Christ. And the other one is one of our lead dentists actually just taking a break and making balloon animals for the children. So we were able to go around from station to station and try out different things also. So that was nice. Next slide. So this is our water ministry. We stayed on a compound with clean running water, and this was probably the only place in Honduras that actually had clean running water. And so we would take this huge water truck out to the villages. And this village was only about 15 minutes away from where our mission compound was, but they had no clean running water at all. So people would line up with just buckets of water, and or just buckets so we could fill them with water. And a lot of them were really, really heavy, and they lived far away. And so our goal was to go out and just carry the water back to their homes with them. And what we learned was that Honduran people are very strong. So if you look at the people on the top right, that is 2 of our team members carrying 1 bucket of water. But we would actually only help them carry that 1 bucket of water, whereas like the Honduran woman would be carrying that, and they'd carry another bucket on their head back to their homes. So, but it was just another way we could show the love of Christ to the people of Honduras. And while we were there, we also played with the kids, which was really fun. Next slide. So this is the Yan family, and they actually have a very interesting story. So they've been in Honduras for, I believe, about 15 years, and they came from China because they were trying to get to the United States, but then they got stuck in Honduras. And so when they were in Honduras, they were the only Chinese-speaking family in Honduras. Everyone else spoke English, and they happened to open up a Chinese restaurant. And so about 10 years ago, when the Tans started going to Honduras, their daughter Jessica just happened to wander into that restaurant, and because it was a Chinese restaurant, and then they met this family. And at that time, they did not have their son. It was just an Asian couple with their Chinese restaurant, and they started talking, and they were really excited because they had never seen Chinese people in Honduras before. So for the longest time, they were non-believers, and so Dr. Tan and his family kept going back, and they kept bringing them just devotionals and just sharing the gospel with them and praying with them after every meal. And every year they went, there was nothing, no progress. And so a couple years ago, or about 8 or 9 years ago, they had a son, William, who's the little boy in yellow. And he was growing up in Honduras, and after a while his mom wanted him to make good friends, so she started bringing him to church because at least the people there were nice. And so they didn't understand any of the language, they don't understand Spanish, or the mom doesn't understand Spanish, but she would still continue to go to church. And they'd been trying to get visas to the US for I think the last 5 years, and with no success. And finally this past year, the mom started praying and William started praying, and they went into the embassy and they were able to get visas. And so Mrs. Yan went home and told her husband that he needs to go to church so that and start praying so that he can also get a visa as well to come over to the United States. So when we went, they were really excited to share this with TANs. And one interesting thing that Mrs. Yan said was that she felt really, really guilty because God had been taking care of her even before she knew who he was, just by bringing the TANs to her family or to her restaurant every year for the past 10 years. And so just continue to pray for the hands, continue to pray for their walk, as it's sure to be a rocky road, and pray that Mr. Yan will start attending church. And then the next slide. So this is also a little girl from the the BNDMI orphanage. I think it's called the Good Shepherd Orphanage. And the top picture is, her name is Kimberly, and the top picture is her about 5 years ago, and she had just arrived at the orphanage, and her mother had just given her up, and she was really scared and really nervous. And before we left, they asked if we would be willing to sponsor her, and the TANs actually decided to sponsor her. So they've been sponsoring her for the past 5 years, and what that includes is basically just been sending money to her for a fund for her every month. And this funds her specifically, but there are other people who also fund the orphanage that she stays at. And even within the past 5 years, this orphanage has grown so much. They have started this bilingual program where they teach the children who go to their school English and Spanish, so that they can eventually grow up and one day go out into Honduras and really help the people out there. And there's just been a lot of growth at that orphanage, but she's actually really excited to see the TANs every time they go, and they always bring her little gifts. And this time when the TANs visited, she actually asked if she could get a Chinese name, so the TANs gave her a Chinese name. And so they've been building that relationship with her also, and now she also has a 5-year-old little sister who stays at the orphanage with her, and she's able to just share the love of Christ, and also share the love that she feels from the TANs with her little sister. And so, so it's been really neat to see just how she's grown over the last 5 years. Thank you.